This is StoryRobot. Welcome to r/RegularRevenge. Our first story of today is Karma times 3 in Revenge. This story is about a man that had karma hit him 3 times in a fairly short period, but after a long period of time. First, he lost all respect from his friends and colleagues. Second, he was fired from a job, and third, a burned bridge came back to bite him. The revenge fell in my lap like a gift and wasn't something that I set out to do. First, I'll say that I was the frozen food manager in a large supermarket. The man I'll call John took my place after I found another job. After 3 days in the new job, I found out that my new boss had lied to me about the amount of time I would work each day and about the work I would be doing. I went to my old boss at the supermarket and asked if he'd hire me back. He did so without hesitation. I didn't expect that he would put me back in my old position, but he insisted on it. Therefore, John was put back to his old position. This part will come up again later in the story. Throughout the years, John and I had hit it off as friends. We went fishing together. Our families met in Florida one year. We went to each other's places and played cards. Since we lived pretty close to each other, we would ride bikes to work together also. After a time, I was eventually made the grocery department manager. I was third in line of management in the store behind the manager and assistant manager. I don't remember exactly when John and my friendship went off the tracks, but eventually it did. All of a sudden, different people were coming up to me and asking me things I supposedly said. My night stalking crew was the hardest. I couldn't figure out why they were turning so much against me. I've always been an easygoing guy. If anyone had any problems, all they had to do was come up and talk to me about it. Eventually, I figured out it was John. While being a friend to me up front, he was stabbing me in the back. I started working nights once in a while so I could get to know those guys a little better, and for them to know what kind of person I was. That seemed to work for the most part. At some point, John got transferred back to being the frozen foods manager. Most days at lunch he would bring in some type of frozen dinner that sales reps had covered for him. As for me, it was none of my business, although I thought it was weird. I actually saw him switching labels for his wife when she was in the store once, 1980s, before scanners. I didn't turn him in because if I had, he would have at the most received a slap on the hand, then he would have made my life miserable. If I was ever going to turn him in, it would have to be for something he'd get fired. Then, the fateful day arrives. One of our other department managers had seen enough and turned him in for the frozen dinner thing. As I predicted, he got a slap on the hand. He then went around the store telling anyone who listened that I was the one who tattled. The other department manager couldn't stand it, so she confronted him, told him she was the culprit, and she also made sure everyone knew it. He immediately beelined to me and tried saying that he was being misunderstood. I didn't say much, just shrugged it off. This was his introduction to karma. No one in the store trusted or believed him anymore. The manager that turned him in told me that John felt that any promotion I got should have been his from the time I had quit years ago. No, I got promotions because of my ability and the trust the store manager had in me. It wasn't too long after that a new grocery store was opening up in town. John applied for a management position and got it. He spent the next couple weeks trying to recruit other store employees to go over with him. He struck out. In his new job he ended up being third in line of management. I'm not really sure what his position was though. Once there, old habits die hard. He started trying to sabotage the assistant manager. They didn't fall for it though and was fired after a few weeks. That was karma number 2. Karma number 3 was the sweetest to me by far. Now he is without a job and he comes back begging to our store manager for any type of position, even a carry-out, someone who bags groceries for the customer. The revenge? The manager then comes to me, asks my opinion. I told her that we don't need the drama and if it were me, I wouldn't hire him back. She didn't. Now, had John went on his abilities instead of trying to sabotage other people, he could have went a long way. The company expanded to a few more stores after that, so he would have had a lot of options. I always felt bad about pushing him out of the frozen position all those years ago, but it wasn't my call. I just wish that all those times we were together outside of work, he'd have talked to me about it. Our final story of today is, steal our phones while we're surfing? Have fun getting arrested after we hunt you down. Basically, my buddy and I got super into surfing in high school and we would go pretty much every day. His mom, Rip, would usually drop us off. We would wrap our phones in our shirts, bury them in the sand a bit, and place our towels on top. This was the everyday routine. So one day we go surfing in this sketchy area. Not so sketchy that we shouldn't have been surfing there, but it would have been way smarter to not bring our phones. Anyway, we kind of beeped up, brought our phones, went surfing, and when we got back to shore, the phones were gone. We freaked out for a little while, then asked some people nearby if they saw anything. They said no, but they were nice enough to let us check Find My iPhone as well as call his mom to come pick us up. By the time we checked Find My iPhone, the phones were already about 5 miles away. We called his mom, told her what happened, and expected to just go home sad, but no. His mom was seriously a legend. Once she picked us up, she had us quickly log in to find my iPhone on her phone and the pursuit began. We literally drove for maybe 2 hours out of the way until we finally started getting near the guy. The thing is, no matter how close we got, the phone was always on the move. Plus it's not the most accurate tracker in the world, so it's only within like 500 feet of the phone, so the chase went on forever and we had no idea what car we were following. I don't remember all of the details perfectly, but at some point during the chase, her phone died so she hauled beep off the freeway, ran like 2 lights and made an illegal U-turn. None of this was that dangerous, like nobody was there, but it was still pretty badass, and quickly pulled up at a 7-Eleven where we bought a car phone charger. The chase continued. We followed the Find My iPhone tracker for maybe 2 or 3 hours total until finally the paw stopped. We pulled up where we assumed was the right stop and it was some random taco shop. We went inside, looked around, but only a couple people were in there and they all looked like they were with family, so we didn't think it was any of them. That's when we went outside and saw some guy sitting at the bus stop with a large duffel bag. We immediately assumed it was him, he looked pretty sketch, so we called the local police and they said they would send a car to our spot. The funniest part of all of this was that the cop was full on like, "Don't approach the guy, just wait." But my buddy's mom, being the goofy person she was, came up with seriously the dumbest plan, but we all loved it at the moment so we went with it. What she did was she casually walked up to the guy and was like, "Hey, I lost my phone, do you know what time it is?" It was seriously the funniest beep ever. My buddy and I couldn't help but start cracking up. Anyway, the guy was all hostile and just said no, so she came back to the car and we just waited, laughing about what just happened. From that point on, as the guy was waiting for the next bus, he kept looking back at us every couple seconds. It was kind of scary but overall really funny. A few minutes later, a cop car passed by on the opposite side of the road, turned on its lights, and made a quick U-turn driving towards the guy. I beep you not, he got up and beeping bolted as fast as he could across the street. The cop was in a car though, so he caught him immediately. He handcuffed the guy, brought him over to us, and the cop was like, "Do you have these kids' phones?" The guy, acting innocent and pissed, was like, "No. Why would I steal these kids' phones?" The cop then opened his duffel bag and wouldn't you know it, out pops our phones. The guy starts rambling that he bought the phones off some random guy and the cop jokingly said something like, "That's some bad luck. Maybe don't buy phones from some guy at the beach." He ended up getting arrested and we got our phones back after a 3-hour chase. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.